Hello, today we're going to talk about teaching in small groups. By the end of this session, students should be able to design a geographic format for groups based on teaching perspective, and to give examples of destructive behavior for facilitating small groups. We're going to talk about the 5 teaching perspectives. We're going to talk about mindfulness in preparation for small group teaching. We're going to talk about how geography of small groups might provide different ways to approach small groups. And then we're going to talk about avoiding pitfalls when teaching. The 5 teaching perspectives are different ways that teachers can emphasize what their goals are in teaching. There's transmission, where teachers are masters of their subject and they're trying to convey mastery of their subject to students. There's apprenticeship, where teachers are trying to convey skills and behaviors of clinical care to students. Developmental and nurturing perspectives actually go hand in hand. The developmental is one where teachers are approaching it with a learner-centric model, whereas the nurturing is a learner-supportive model. And in social reform, teachers are trying to develop leaders out of their students for social justice and change. In preparation for small group teaching, the size of the group matters. 5 students is different than 20 students. And so knowing what the background of those learners are, and specifically what the shared background of those learners are, can really help you tell and determine what the purpose of your teaching session will be. And you can lay out what your objectives will be. Once you have your objectives, figuring out what resources are necessary is much, much easier and should still be part of your preparation. When preparing, and once you've decided what your teaching perspective is, you should then work into what your geographic positioning should be for small groups. This is the fishbowl, where you have a small inner circle that is discussing back and forth whatever topic you've given them, with an outer circle that observes, and then they can switch, and that allows for an exchange of ideas. There's the crossover groups, where you take that small group, split it into even smaller groups, have them discuss maybe different topics, and then shuffle them so that they are mixed up within each group, and they can talk about what their previous groups had talked about. There's the buzz groups, or what I like to call a think, pair, share. So your instructor does maybe a little bit of lecture format, and as a thought break, has students pair up with each other and discuss together what they may not want to bring to the big group just alone. And then we share ideas back to the big group. And then there's the horseshoe, which is a very, very common approach for teachers in small group teaching, where you have an instructor and you can alternate back and forth between a lecture style and small group interaction. Sometimes when reporting back to the big group, it can get a little tedious, and so what you can do is actually have the students rotate groups so there's an exchange of ideas that way rather than back into the bigger group. There are a number of pitfalls, and so one of the things that you want to do is try to set ground rules up front, and so a lot of that is about respect and exchange of ideas. Try not to lecture. What you want to do is facilitate students. If you have a thought, maybe wait 10 seconds and see if a student will bring it up themselves. You really want to encourage the students to talk to each other, demand solutions out of the students when you have questions rather than giving them to them, and try to make sure that you get equal contributions from all of the different students. It can be difficult to get students to be motivated to prepare, and so sometimes you can use peer pressure, or if it's a graded session, you can tie their grades into how much preparation they've done. And then remember to try to make eye contact. This is much easier in small groups than in larger groups, but you want to try to make eye contact with each of the students to encourage everyone to participate. I hope that this has been a helpful session on small group teaching, and I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you very much.